Hey there, friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Dominique, and I enjoyed my conversation style video so much from a couple weeks ago, and it's the one on vulnerability that I created. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll leave it linked here in the cards. And so I want to just share some things that have come up for me over the past couple of weeks, because I think it's just such a great way to get more insight and also inspiration and some motivation to make changes in your own life when you can relate to someone else going through the similar things, at least. So I want to just chat a little bit about my struggles with having difficult conversations in the past. And this really came up for me this week because my husband and I were able to spend some really nice quality time with each other Saturday evening. I am at my family's home and I am here taking care of my grandmother while my family, my mom and her husband, are on vacation. So, needless to say, I've been pretty busy. So it was nice to have this time with my husband. And we started reflecting on how I've grown over the years with my ease with conversation. I'm not going to say that it is completely like a breeze for me now, but I definitely have seen major changes. And I know that having difficult conversations is very scary for many of us out there. And so what I used to do is I used to try to please everyone. And so challenging conversations were very uncomfortable for me. I didn't want to burden people with my issues and problems. And I know many of you watching this are going to be able to relate to this. And one thing that I love to speak about is how our nervous system just works with trauma responses in childhood, experiences that left us a little bit dysregulated. And there's very frequently the fight and flight response that we talk about, but freeze and fawn are two other responses that we don't really hear too much about. For me, it was fawn. And what fawning means is just people pleasing. So if my husband wanted to have conversation with me on something that he is being bothered by, I would just start to agree with him. I was so worried about sharing my own thoughts and feelings that I just wanted to agree with whatever he said. And if he was upset about something, I would make it like, okay, yep, it was my fault. I'll change this or I'll do this. And he wanted a reaction out of me. He wanted to see me get fired up and just vocalize instead of holding things in. And that used to frustrate the hell out of him. And I totally get it because it frustrated me too. So since this was very common, my way of communication, this area was something I worked a lot on through my healing journey. And there's two specific things that really helped me grow into someone who could have deeper conversations and feel safe and comfortable with vocalizing myself. And I want to share those things with you today. Again, I feel like this is an area that many of us can relate to. And if we're desiring stronger relationships and deeper connection with loved ones, friends, even new people that we're welcoming into our lives, I feel that being able to communicate the proper way is so incredibly crucial on both ends here. So the first thing that I started to implement more into my technique that just brought greater comfort in having conversation was something I learned from Brene Brown. And she has a Netflix special that I absolutely love. And it is about vulnerability which if you watched that video I created a couple weeks ago, you know my struggles with vulnerability and how many of us also have these same struggles. So I think that this would be a phenomenal Netflix special to watch and get some great inspiration from and insight. I'm going to leave it down below in the description box. But in this talk that she gave, she shared about how she had difficulty communicating with her husband because of assuming things instead of asking, which is so incredibly common. How we love to assume things because we base it off of our own internal struggles and challenges. We like to put our own needs and desires onto others, trying to meet them or provide them, when in reality, we really need to get to know what it is that we are needing and why we're feeling a certain way internally before we can be able to express that the way we're desiring to others. So what she was talking about that helped to give more clarity for her struggle was using the phrase, "the story I'm telling myself is." And by using this phrase, she was able to approach her husband with her concerns without judgment or blame or criticizing, which if you have ever experienced that, which I'd be surprised if you didn't. I know I have, where I felt attacked. You start to just automatically react instead of respond appropriately to the individual. And the reaction is usually out of anger and annoyance. So by using the phrase, "the story I'm telling myself is," you're allowing the individual to provide clarity for the concern that you have because they feel that they are being welcomed into a conversation with more of a safe space, again, without the blaming and judgment that can often be a part of difficult conversations. So an example of using this phrase may be something along the lines of, say, my husband is spending a lot of time playing video games when he's home and not much time hanging out with me. So that might start to create stories of, wow, my husband is bored with spending time with me, or he really doesn't even enjoy my company anymore. Does he even love me still? And you can see how this could easily spiral into a lot of anxiety, worry, concern. And again, it's more of my own internal struggles. And it may be because I'm not feeling heard or seen or appreciated. And in the past, in my childhood, these were definitely things that I felt greatly, where I felt ignored and just not appreciated. So this can kind of reflect back onto these memories, causing me to worry excessively. And instead of me just sitting with that and assuming the worst, what I could do is approach my husband and say, "So I've noticed that you've been playing video games a lot when you're home, and we're not really spending as much quality time together. So the story I'm telling myself is that you don't enjoy spending time with me anymore. Is that right, or am I just overthinking things?" So by approaching it that way, I am allowing him to provide me with some clarity. So he is not feeling like he's being pushed in a corner, because I'm leaving it on me by saying the story I'm telling myself. And this just allows him to feel a little bit safer with responding back to that. And it has worked wonderful for myself and also for my clients. In last week's video, I had a conversation with Nancy, and it was a wonderful catch-up chat. I will leave that video linked here in the cards. And she just shared her experience with coaching and how she's grown. One of the things we worked on was improving her conversation and connection with her husband because she had the tendency to assume he knew what she was wanting or worrying about, and that would bring up resentment and anger. So we used this technique and put it into practice, and she saw really great changes just within her husband's communication and willingness and presence at the same time as, of course, it improving her own communication. So it's been incredibly helpful, and I think it's a wonderful resource to use when you're struggling to just get your thoughts out there and you're worried about, hurting someone's feelings, or just worrying about putting them in a corner. And again, I'm going to leave the Netflix special link down below from Brené Brown because this is where I originally came across this, and it's just a wonderful special overall. So the next communication technique that I've been putting into use over the years is more so when I'm the individual who's receiving information or the concerns of others. And the way I like to do this is to make sure that they are being heard and they're being seen, and it allows them to feel that I'm fully present in this conversation. And my response would start with, so what I hear you saying is, you feel I'm spending a lot of time playing my video games instead of spending time with you. And the story you're starting to tell yourself is that I don't enjoy spending quality time with you anymore. And by repeating back the concern that the individual is coming to me with, again, it goes back to wanting to feel seen, wanting to feel appreciated and heard. And these are needs that every human being has, that we want to feel appreciated and a part of someone else's life or having a connection with others. And by simply adding into it, so what I hear you say is, then that gives that person a lot more comfort in knowing that they did the right thing by starting this conversation. The hard part is over, but it also allows me to stay present with the individual, and it allows us to maintain better regulation within our nervous systems because, yes, nervous systems feed off of each other. And when you can remain calm within a difficult conversation, then the other individual is going to have a better chance of remaining calm as well. So these are a couple of techniques that I've incorporated over the past few years to help me break free from my response of fawn or people pleasing, because it allows me to feel more confident in my communication with others. And it also allows me to stay more present as well. Besides the fawn response, I also would commonly dissociate if things escalated a little too much, or if I maybe said something that was in a blaming manner, even though I didn't mean it, and it caused the other individual to get upset, I would then quickly dissociate as well. So by using these two different communication techniques, I have seen great progress in how I communicate with my husband specifically, and also my family and loved ones. And I hope that this gives you a little bit of inspiration and insight on how you can improve your relationships with just simply a better method of communication that brings in more of a trauma-informed technique. And sometimes I dislike the word trauma-informed, and simply all it is, it's being human-informed. We all, and I'm going to go back to our needs, we all want to feel seen. We all want to feel heard and appreciated. So it's simply being human-informed. And using these methods allow you to do just that. So if you've made it this far in the video, first off, I want to say thank you for hanging around, but I'm also curious to know what your thoughts are of this type of video, this kind of sit down, casual chat style versus what I've made in the past, which are more informative and educational. I'm trying just to mix things up and just trying out what is going to really work best for my own style. And of course, what you guys are going to be enjoying as well. So feel free to leave your thoughts down below in the comments. And if you haven't yet subscribed, then please go ahead and do so. I'd love to have you as part of this community. While you're down there, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. And until next time, sending you so much healing love.